Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining me for today's session. Make sure that you have your appropriate assignment right now in front of you. It should say value exercise on top, and we're going to be completing set number 3. So it's going to be use the value shades from step 1 to create the sphere. So you're going to be using the same thing what you did up here, but it will be applied in a different manner. So instead of squares, it's going to be in a circular manner. So make sure that don't forget to subscribe and to follow, and also you can always welcome to send me an email in case you have any questions or suggestions. Okay, so one of the first things I like to do is cover the whole thing in a light value. Okay, so I'm going to do that right now. It's a little shortcut that I'm giving you right now is applying value throughout the whole piece. Okay, and of course that little square, that little circle right here, we can get rid of it by just erasing that part, but I'm gonna do the whole thing with a very light value. Okay, and make sure you always blending in the graphite of your pencil. So always do the whole little oval circular motion. That's one of the easiest way how to blend in the graphite of your pencil. Okay, so we're gonna do this, and it looks like we have come to a nice little stopping point right here. So once you have that, looks like we already achieved this one right here. We're gonna erase that in the very end. Okay, and now the next one's gonna be slightly darker, so let's do that right now. Let's make it slightly darker than the previous one. Okay, and remember to always hold it all the way back here in case you feel like your hand is too heavy. I always hold it up from all over here because it does help me control the medium a little bit better, so just do your best. And in case you want to work like in different angles, this is the way to go. So in case you want to rotate the paper, just to make it easy for yourself. Okay, let's see, let me keep adding more until it's nice and smooth, and it looks like we have achieved that darker value for the next step. Okay, there you go. And now the next one is gonna be even darker, so let's make that slightly darker. There you go. So what I'm doing right now, I'm just blending in, just doing what I learned from the previous 2 ways of shading. But now it's becoming more of a challenge, because now it's not just the usual square or the whole rectangle box, but it's going to be in a circular manner. So it's going to take a little more skills. You have to control the whole medium, control your pencil, and rotate the paper, make it easy for yourself. Almost there. So make sure you cover the whole areas of each little ring of that circle. Okay, you can always go back and adjust certain areas. You can modify it, you can erase, you can add, but for right now it looks like I'm just adding right now. That's the beauty of art. You can make mistakes and you can always fix your mistakes. There you go. So it looks like we have a slightly darker ring now. I'm gonna move on to the next one. Okay, let's keep going. And sometimes whenever you're doing this type of exercises, you're gonna feel like your hand is getting tired. It's because you're not used to, in case you're a first timer in this class or in art, your hand's gonna cramp up a little bit, but that's because you have to get used to that rhythm and the movement of using your pencil and creating things. Okay, so just give it a few weeks, and and you'll be able to do a lot of shading without cramping up with your hand. Okay, so always make sure you take little breaks in between, like move around your fingers, maybe take little breaks in between, maybe listen to some music, and then come back in case your hand is cramping a little bit. So now continue making this ring. Now it looks like they're very similar, so in case they're similar, you have to make sure that it gets a little bit darker. So let's do that right now. So I'm making it darker, kind of like around that area, right? Okay, so we're gonna keep that value right there, and we're gonna spread it through the whole ring around that sphere. Okay, just keep going, kind of like that Finding Nemo part whenever Dory was telling the other fish I forgot the name of that character, but it says just keep swimming. So that's what we need to do, just keep shading, So now we're just shading, spreading the same value across evenly, rotating paper, That's all the little tricks you can do to achieve this technique right here, okay? So it looks like, let me see, is it nice and even? I check the camera in case it looks correct. Looks like the camera is capturing pretty good the whole, you know, shading part, so it looks like I will keep it like that. And now the next one's gonna be even darker than that, okay? So let me zoom in a little bit more so you can see it better. And then I'm gonna make it darker, way darker than the previous one now. So now I have my pencil, the way I'm holding this a little bit closer to the tip now because I want to make sure to apply a little bit more pressure, but not as much because I still got one more to go. Okay, so I mean, it's gonna look similar to that, but not. It's almost impossible to replicate what a computer can print out, you know, because it's a computer. You know, there's a different types of tones that it has, and you know, the color is always going to be different from what a pencil can do. Okay, so don't be too worried about having it exactly precisely like the computer has. Okay, like the printer does. The idea is to have a different color rings all around the sphere. Okay. And something to touch up real quick is one of the elements of art. You know, even though we are doing value right now, and value has, you know, those 4 shading techniques that we're learning, you know, like the hatching, cross hatching, stapling, and blending. Right now we are using another element of art called shapes. You know, shapes. We have triangle, square, circle, and so on. So right now we have a very basic circle, and by using value, we're gonna convert this circle, a shape, into a sphere, which is a form. So anytime you add value, it's gonna make things more 3-dimensional. Okay. And this can be applied to every single thing that you do. There could be portraits, landscapes. In case you're coloring, you can also do value with that. And you know, you can achieve very good results. You can have very good results if you always applying what you learn in this class. So it looks like I reach a pretty good stopping point right here for this one. Nice and blended. Okay, now the last one's gonna be the darkest. Okay, so let's do the darkest. I'm gonna put a lot of pressure in this one now, okay? A lot of pressure is being applied right now with this pencil. And I wanted to create this extra layer to be slightly darker than the previous one. So it's gonna be way darker. There you go. Looks like we have reached a nice stopping point. Let me blend this little parts in very quickly so it doesn't look too rough. There you go. Very nicely done, huh? Now, notice that this, it's called a shadow. A cast shadow is whenever a light is hitting in this area over here and is projecting that light over here on top of this object, and the object is blocking it, which causes the object to cast a shadow on the side, okay? So we're gonna have more details on that on the PowerPoint later on, but for right now, we're gonna keep it simple. So the bottom part of the cast shadow is gonna be the darkest darks of all, you know, of all the values whenever you're doing shading. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put as dark as possible in the bottom, okay? I'm putting a lot of pressure. Sorry about that. That's the bell from work. Now, even though we see this all dark, now is it okay for you to apply what you learn? Yes, you can. So what we're gonna do is, look at this. We're gonna be doing a little dark to light. We're gonna get away a little bit from that, you know, from the example that we see over here. We're gonna change it up a little bit. We're gonna make it a little bit fun to ourselves, you know. We're gonna make it a little bit fun. We're gonna apply what we learn. And it is okay to do that sometimes whenever you see like one of my worksheets and there's room for a little bit of creativity and you know, you want to explore other areas and make it look more realistic, then you're always welcome to do that. As long as, you know, it's covered with shading, you know, and you're playing around with the whole medium and blend it correctly and everything, then, you know, it's going to be fine, you know. And you can always explain that to your teacher that, you know, I was just playing around with the medium and I decided to do this because it creates a better effect. So, yes, it does create a nice effect from dark to light, you know. Or you can just make the whole thing dark. But for right now, it looks like I'm very satisfied from what I have right now. I have this good looking thing, and then I think that this concludes our tutorial. So, you know, once you have that, I mean, I always prefer something like this right here over something that is all dark, you know, because in real in realistic terms, you know, if you put your finger right here, notice that the value is going to be darker in the very start, and then it gets lighter as we go. So always keep that in mind. You know, we want to make sure we capture as much realism as we can into your drawing. So this right here will be acceptable in my class. I mean, you can either make it dark, or you can do it from dark to light, just to, you know, play around a little bit more with your techniques. Okay, so once you have that, you know, just you have completed this assignment, which is called the value exercise. So thank you so much for watching this video and this tutorial. My name is Mr. Art Teacher, and thank you for viewing this video. Don't forget to follow and like my videos, and see you later.